The doctor and the nurse fell for each other against all rules. The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets in the ER of Mercy General, New York's relentless heartbeat where dreams flatlined and miracles gasped back to life. It was 4:17 a.m., the witching hour when the night shift clawed for daylight, and Dr. Elena Vasquez burst through the double doors, her white coat flapping like a cape in a storm. Blood-hot metallic, splattered her scrubs, the sharp tang mixing with the stale coffee breath of the charged nurse. Gunshot, male 28, entry wound left flank. The paramedic barked, wheeling in the gurney, the kid's chest heaving in wet, ragged pulls. Elena didn't flinch. At 38, she'd carved her name into this concrete jungle of a hospital with a scalpel's precision Mexican-American firebrand, top trauma surgeon. The one they called when the city chewed up its own. Her dark eyes, shadowed by 12-hour shifts and a divorce that still echoed like a bad echo, scanned the chaos. Monitors wailed, IVs dripped like tears, and the air hummed with the low thrum of ventilators, a symphony of survival she knew by heart. "Riley, get me o' neg stat." Elena snapped, her voice a whip crack over the din. Nurse Riley Thompson, 32 and built like she could bench press a crash cart, slid in beside her, auburn curls escaping her ponytail in frizzy rebellion. Irish-American through and through, with freckles dusting her nose like cinnamon on latte foam and green eyes that held the Atlantic storm. Riley moved like water, fluid, unyielding. She'd patched up gangbangers and Wall Street suits alike in this pit, her hands steady as the Brooklyn Bridge in a gale. Their worlds collided over the patient's open gut, Elena's gloved fingers delving deep while Riley suctioned blood in rhythmic pulls, the slurp suck echoing like a heartbeat on life support. "Pressure's tanking, 95/60, Riley murmured, her breath warm against Elena's ear, close enough to catch the faint lavender of her shampoo cutting through the antiseptic bite. Elena's pulse skipped, not from the code, but from that proximity, the way Riley's arm brushed hers, electric in the cold sterility. "Clamp it now," Elena growled, sweat beading on her olive skin, the oil lamp's glare turning her into a shadowed warrior. They worked in sync, a forbidden dance neither acknowledged yet, bodies leaning in as the kid's vitals flatlined then spiked back. A sigh escaped Elena, long and shaky as the monitor steadied, beep, beep, beep. Riley's hand lingered a beat too long on the retractor, her thumb grazing Elena's knuckle, a spark that lit something deep in the dark. By 5:45, the sun cracked the skyline, painting the recovery bay in bruised purples and golds. The kid, Jamal, aspiring rapper from the Bronx, stirred under the morphine haze, mumbling lyrics about streets that never slept. Elena peeled off her gloves with a snap, the latex sting on her wrists a reminder of boundaries she'd long ignored. Rules be damned. Mercy General's fraternization policy was ironclad. No dating staff, especially not across the power lines of doctor-nurse. But as she glanced at Riley wiping down the bay, hips swaying to some internal rhythm, Elena felt the pull, gravitational, inevitable. "Hey Doc," Riley said, voice low like the Hudson at low tide, tossing her a water bottle with a grin that crinkled her eyes. "You look like you wrestled a subway rat and lost." The bottle was cool against Elena's palm, condensation slick as unspoken want. She uncapped it, gulping deep, the plastic crinkling under her grip. Water dribbled down her chin and Riley reached out, instinct, thumb swiping it away, lingering on her jawline. Time stretched, the air's chaos fading to a distant roar. A baby's wail 2 bays over, the sizzle of a defibrillator charging in standby, the faint whiff of Riley's vanilla lotion blooming in the space between them. Elena stepped back, heart hammering like the kids had minutes ago. "Thanks," she muttered, voice rough as gravel under tires. But her eyes betrayed her, dark pools reflecting Riley's light, a hunger she hadn't tasted since Maria walked out 2 years back, citing Elena's work-wife devotion to the earth. Riley nodded, cheeks flushing under the freckles, and turned away, ponytail swinging like a pendulum. The hook was set. 2 women bound by blood and beeps, falling against every rule etched in hospital stone. Shift change hit like a freight train. Nurses shuffling out in exhausted herds, docs barking handoffs over lukewarm Joe. Elena lingered in the locker room, steam from the showers curling like ghosts, the tile floors slick under her sneakers. She stripped down, water scalding her skin, washing away the night's grime but not the imprint of Riley's touch. Soap suds swirled pink-tinged down the drain, carrying echoes of Jamal's groans, the paramedics' radio static crackling about another drive-by uptown. Dressed in fresh jeans and a faded Mets tee, Elena hit the cafeteria, the fluorescent hum giving way to the clatter of trays and the greasy sizzle of bacon. New York never slept, but mornings here felt like a collective exhale, patients shuffling in slippers, orderlies trading barbs in Spanglish. She grabbed a black coffee, bitter as regret, and spotted Riley at a corner table, nursing a green tea, legs crossed under her, scrubs rumpled like she'd slept in them. "Mind if I?" Elena asked, tray hovering, the steam from her mug twisting like a question mark. Riley looked up, surprise melting into that easy smile, the one that made Elena's chest ache with its warmth. "Pull up a chair, Vasquez. You earned it after that circus." They talked easy at first, their war stories that bonded strangers into kin. Riley on her first code brown, the hilarity of it now. Elena on the double lung transplant that saved her mentor, the miracle that hooked her on surgery. Laughter bubbled up, genuine, cutting the tension like a well-placed incision. But under it, currents swirled. Riley's knee bumping Elena's under the table, accidental yet not, the brush sending heat licking up Elena's thigh. The cafeteria's din faded, the scrape of forks, the low murmur of a TV droning CNN, the faint ozone whiff from the vending machine's hum. "You're good out there," Riley said softly, stirring her tea spoon clinking like a heartbeat. "Not just skilled. You care. Deep." Her eyes held Elena's, green depths pulling like the East River's undertow. Elena swallowed, the coffee suddenly ash on her tongue. "Comes with the territory. Can't save 'em all if you don't feel it." A pause, heavy as the humid air before a summer storm. Riley's fingers drummed the table, nails short and practical, chipped polish a rebel streak. "Yeah, well, feeling's dangerous in a place like this." The words hung, laced with the unsaid. The policy pinned to every bulletin board, the HR seminars on professional boundaries, the whispers of nurses canned for inappropriate conduct. Elena's pager buzzed, another trauma inbound, a car wreck on the FDR. She stood, chair scraping like a sigh. "Duty calls." Riley nodded, but as Elena walked away, she felt those eyes on her back, a gaze that stripped her bare. By noon, the city baked under October sun, leaves crunching copper underfoot as Elena stepped out for air on the hospital's loading dock. Trucks rumbled, unloading linens that smelled of bleach and faint despair. She lit a cigarette, bad habit, forbidden in uniform, but the nicotine rush steadied her. Smoke curled lazy, mingling with exhaust, and there was Riley again, rounding the corner with a clipboard, wind tousling her curls. "Caught you," Riley teased, but her voice caught, eyes tracing the embers' glow. Elena exhaled slow, smoke wreathing them like a veil. "What'll it cost me?" The flirt hung light, but the air thickened, charged as the ER before a lightning strike. Riley stepped closer, the clipboard a shield she didn't need. Just a drag. Elena passed it over, their fingers brushing, deliberate this time, skin on skin, a jolt that arched through her like current. Riley inhaled deep, coughing soft, then handed it back, lips pursed in that half-smile. "Tastes like regret." Elena crushed it under her boot, gravel crunching. "Some regrets are worth it." The dock's chain link rattled in the breeze, a distant siren wailing like a lover's lament. They stood there, inches apart, the world narrowing to the space between breaths. Riley's vanilla warmth, Elena's faint citrus cologne, the unspoken dare pulsing like a vein. Then the door banged open, a tech hollering for Riley. She went, glancing back with eyes that promised more. Elena leaned against the wall, heart thundering, the conflict crystallizing. Love in the lines of duty, a fall that could shatter careers, hearts, everything. But damn if it didn't feel like flying. Afternoon blurred into codes and consults, through a whirlwind of sutures and sobs. Elena scrubbed in for a ruptured appendix, the OR's chill biting through her gown, the scent of betadine sharp as pine. Scalpel in hand, she sliced clean, but her mind wandered to Riley's laugh echoing down halls, her steady grip on a syringe. Focus, she chided, the retractor's click pulling her back. Post-op in the dim lounge, Elena collapsed into a vinyl chair, the fabric sticking to her thighs in the AC's bite. Vending machine hummed, dispensing chips that crunched too loud in the quiet. Footsteps, soft, purposeful. Riley with 2 Cokes, cold and sweating. Truce, she offered, popping the tab with a hiss. Elena took it, fizz bubbling on her tongue like effervescence in her veins. They sat knee to knee, talking low about everything and nothing. Riley's Brooklyn roots, summers at Coney Island with sticky cotton candy and boardwalk screams. Elena's abuela's tamales, steaming on fire escapes in Queens, stories of border crossings whispered at midnight. Laughter came easy, but so did the pauses, charged silences where eyes met and held, breath sinking like monitors in tandem. You ever think about getting out? Riley asked, voice a whisper over the lounge's tick-tock clock. This place. It eats you. Elena traced the can's rim, condensation slick. Where to? This is home. The rush, the saves, it's in my blood. Riley's hand found hers, tentative, fingers lacing like puzzle pieces. Warmth bloomed, electric, the touch saying what words couldn't. I see you. I want this. But the door swung, a resident yawning in. They sprang apart, hands retreating like guilty shadows. Elena's pulse raced, the hook deeper now, the line taut. Night fell hard over Manhattan, neon bleeding into the sky, and as Elena clocked out, Riley's text buzzed, coffee tomorrow? Off shift. Simple words, but they ignited the fuse. Against all rules, the fall had begun. Streetlights pooled gold on the sidewalk as Elena trudged home to her Astoria walk-up, the F train's rumble fading behind her like a fading pulse. Keys jangled in her pocket, cold against her thigh, and the stairwell smelled of garlic and yesterday's rain. New York's perfume, gritty and alive. Her apartment was a sanctuary of sorts. Bookshelves sagging with medical tomes and dog-eared romances, a fern wilting on the sill from neglect, the faint echo of her ex's laughter in the empty corners. She showered hot steam fogging the mirror, water sluicing over scars. Appendix burst at 12, appendix to her own story of survival. Towel dried, she scrolled Riley's sparse profile. A beach selfie from last summer, waves crashing white, Riley's smile wide and wind-whipped. A quote about hearts that beat in sync. Elena's thumb hovered over reply, heart a drum in her chest. 7 a.m. Corner Deli. Don't be late. Send. The whoosh felt like exhaling after holding breath for years. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled in beeps and green eyes, waking her at dawn with sheets twisted like restraints. Coffee brewed black, the drip like Morse code, go, go, go. Dressed in Levi's and a Henley that hugged her curves, Elena hit the street, autumn crisp nipping at her cheeks, leaves skittering like secrets. The deli hummed with morning ritual, bagels toasting golden, the sizzle of eggs, radio crooning Sinatra low. Riley waited at a sidewalk table, steam rising from her cup, curls tamed under a beanie, scrubs swapped for yoga pants and a hoodie that smelled like fresh laundry when Elena Saturday you made it, Riley said, grin sly, passing a Danish flaky and warm. Their knees touched under the table, casual yet charged, the metal frame cool against Elena's calf. Conversation flowed like the East River at flood. Riley's nursing school grind in the Bronx, nights pulling doubles to pay tuition. Elena's residency hell, 80-hour weeks that left her hollow. Laughter punctuated, genuine bursts that turned heads, but under it the pull grew. Riley's hand gesturing animated, brushing Elena's arm, leaving trails of fire. The air crackled with unspoken, the way Riley's gaze lingered on Elena's lips, the soft hitch in her breath when Elena leaned in to steal a bite. God, you're intense, Riley murmured, eyes sparkling like sun on water. In the best way. Like you could dissect a heart and hand it back beating. Elena chuckled low, the sound rumbling in her throat. Flattery'll get you. Somewhere dangerous. A pause, the city's honk-horn symphony swelling around them. Riley's foot nudged hers, deliberate, hooking ankle to ankle. Heat flushed Elena's skin, the Danish forgotten, crumbs scattering like confetti. They walked after, aimless through Astoria's mosaic streets, hookah lounges puffing apple-scented clouds, bodegas blasting reggae tone. The faint brine of Long Island sound on the wind. Riley's arm looped Elena's, natural as breathing, and Elena didn't pull away. At the park benches worn smooth by lovers' sighs, they sat close, shoulders touching, watching joggers pound pavement. "This feels right," Riley whispered, head tilting to rest on Elena's, curls tickling her neck. Elena's arm draped around her, pulling tight, the wool of Riley's hoodie soft, her warmth seeping through. But the pager buzzed, Elena's insistent as guilt. "Shift starts soon." Riley sighed, long and wistful, lifting her head, eyes tracing Elena's face like memorizing a map. Their goodbye lingered at the subway grate, wind gusting up skirts, Riley's hand cupping Elena's cheek, thumb stroking slow. "See you in the trenches." The kiss, ghost of lips brushing corner of mouth, left Elena reeling on the platform, train doors hissing shut like a slammed door. Back in the ER, the morning rush hit like a tidal wave. Flu cases hacking phlegm, a diabetic in DKA sweating ketones that reeked like nail polish remover. Elena dove in, charting crisp, her focus laser sharp, but Riley's presence pulled like gravity. Across the nurse's station, Riley triaged a kid with croup, her voice soothing over the barky coughs, steam from the nebulizer curling like desire. Lunch was stolen in the stairwell, concrete echoing their footsteps, the air cooler laced with faint mildew. They sat on a landing, sandwiches unwrapped on laps, turkey and Swiss mingling with the tang of metal railings. "Tell me something real," Elena said, biting into bread crusty and yielding. Riley chewed thoughtful then. "I came out at 19. Family imploded, Dad called me a phase, Mom baked casseroles like apologies. Nursed my way through it." Her voice cracked soft, vulnerability raw as an open wound. Elena reached, hand covering Riley's, knuckles rough from 4 starts. "Mine was quieter. Abuela knew, slipped me a rosary and said, 'God loves all his daughters.' But the job. It's a closet with glass walls." Their fingers intertwined, pulses sinking, the stairwell's hum fading to their breaths. Shallow quickening. Riley leaned, forehead to Elena's, noses brushing, vanilla and citrus swirling. "We're worth the risk," she breathed, and Elena believed it, the world narrowing to that press of skin. Afternoon dragged in sutures and scans, the CTs were a constant drone, but stolen glances fueled the fire. Riley's wink over a patient's chart, Elena's foot tap under the desk. By evening, as shadows lengthened across the bays, tension coiled tight. A combative drunk swung at staff, chaos erupting. Tray tables clattering, curses flying thick as smoke. Elena pinned him down, muscles straining, while Riley darted in with restraints, zip ties snapping like judgments. Panting in the aftermath, adrenaline surging, they backed into a supply closet, door clicking shut, the space cramped with gauze stacks and the sharp scent of alcohol wipes. "That was close," Elena gasped, chest heaving, sweat dampening her collar. Riley pressed close, hands framing Elena's face, eyes fierce. "Not as close as this." Their lips met, tentative at first, then crashing like waves on rock, hungry, all teeth and tongue. Elena tasted salt and tea, Riley's moan vibrating soft against her throat, hands roaming fingers and hair, nails grazing scalp, hips aligning in desperate grind. The kiss broke on a shared gasp, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling hot. "We can't," Elena whispered, even as her body screamed yes, the closet's shelves digging into her back like reminders. Riley's laugh was bittersweet, thumb tracing Elena's swollen lip. "But we will." The door creaked open to the ER's roar, pulling them apart, but the die was cast, whispers turning to wildfire, rules be damned. Night shift loomed, the city's pulse quickening under sodium lamps. Elena scrubbed out a laceration, needle tugging thread through flesh, each stitch a metaphor for binding what shouldn't be. Riley floated charts nearby, her presence a magnet, drawing Elena's gaze to the curve of her neck, the sway of her step. A page for Elena, cardiac arrest in Bay 3, and she bolted, stethoscope bouncing against her chest like a talisman. The code was brutal. 60-year-old accountant, clutching at phantom pains, collapsing mid-sentence. Chest compressions cracked ribs like dry twigs, the thump-thump echoing in Elena's arms, sweat stinging her eyes. "AP 1 milligram, she barked, and Riley was there, syringe plunging smooth, her free hand squeezing Elena's shoulder, brief, bolstering. They shocked him back, the defibrillator's whine peaking to a thud, body arching like a bow. In the hallway after, fluorescent flicker casting long shadows, they leaned against wall, spent. "You're a force," Riley said, voice husky, wiping Elena's brow with her sleeve. Cotton soft on fevered skin. Elena turned, capturing her wrist, kissing the pulse point, salty, alive. "We both are." The touch lingered, a promise in the press, until footsteps echoed, forcing retreat. Homeward bound, Elena's subway ride blurred in neon streaks, the clack-clack lulling her toward dreams of red hair and green seas. Riley's text glowed, "Dream of me." Elena smiled into the dark, the fall accelerating, whispers growing to roars in the white noise of their world. Thanksgiving loomed like a ghost in Mercy General, the air strung with paper turkeys that sagged under the weight of tinsel and regret. Elena clocked in to the scent of overcooked turkey wafting from the cafeteria, mingling with the usual bleach bite. A holiday truce in Hell's Kitchen. Her phone buzzed with a family group chat. Abuela's pleas for tamales in Queens, cousins' selfies amid glittering lights. She typed quick, working. "Love you." But her mind was elsewhere, on Riley, who'd texted at midnight. "Miss your chaos. Come over after?" The day unraveled in vignettes of misery. A kid with a swallowed Lego choking on sobs, parents frayed as old charts, an overdose in the bathroom, needle caps crunching under boots like brittle bones. Elena moved through it, scalpel steady, but her eyes sought Riley's across the bays. A shared nod over a splint, a brush of fingers on handover, each contact a spark in dry tinder. By 8 p.m. the rush ebbed, staff trickling to the lounge for pie that tasted like cardboard gratitude. Elena found Riley in a quiet alcove, nursing cocoa, steam curling like secrets, her scrubs untucked, revealing a sliver of midriff tan from rooftop sun. "Saved me a slice?" Elena teased, sliding beside her, thigh pressing warm. Riley's laugh bubbled low, handing over a plate, fork tines scraping ceramic. "Only if you share the whipped cream." They fed each other bites, playful at first, cream smearing lips, licked away with grins, but the air thickened, cocoa forgotten as Riley's knee nudged higher, insistent. Elena's fork clattered down, hand capturing Riley's nape, pulling her into a kiss that tasted of cinnamon and sin. Deep, devouring tongues tangling slow, the alcove shadows wrapping them like accomplices. Riley's moan hummed soft, fingers digging into Elena's hip, nails through fabric, a sweet sting. A cart rattled past, jolting them apart, hearts pounding like postcode. "We're playing with fire," Elena whispered, voice wrecked, straightening her coat with trembling hands. Riley's eyes gleamed defiant, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. "Then let it burn." The words lingered as they parted, Elena to rounds, Riley to meds, the hospital's hum swallowing their echo. Night deepened, the city outside twinkling like a million forbidden wishes. Elena's rounds took her to peds, where a teen girl lay hooked to monitors, charts noting suicide attempt, LGBTQ+ stressors. The irony twisted like a knife. Elena sat bedside, voice gentle over the IV's drip-drip. "You're strong, Mija. There's light after this dark." The girl's hand squeezed hers, frail but fierce, and Elena saw Riley in her, resilient, unbroken. Back in the Arcor, drama brewed. A multi-car pileup on the beach, sirens converging like wolves. Stretchers flooded in, blood and broken glass, the air electric with urgency. Elena triaged ruthless, directing to bays, her commands cutting sharp. Riley was everywhere. Starting lines, hanging fluids, her ponytail swinging like a metronome in the storm. They locked eyes amid the frenzy, a nod across the blood-slick floor. "We got this." One victim, a woman 40s, crushed leg, screamed through morphine, bone jutting white. Elena knelt, gloved hands assessing the metallic reek thick. "We're taking you up," she soothed, but the woman clutched her, nails raking. Riley appeared, coiling the hand, gentle voice a lullaby over the pain. Breathe with me, Han. 1-2. Their shoulders brushed, at anchor in the gale, and as they wheeled her out, fingers linked behind the gurney, hidden, vital. Post-crisis, the Earthside Collective, staff slumping over charts, coffee sloshing cold. Elena found Riley in the break room, slumped against the fridge, eyes red-rimmed. Rough one, Elena said, pouring water, the faucet's gurgles soft. Riley nodded, accepting the glass, fingers lingering. She made it. Your call on the tourniquet. Elena shrugged, but pride warmed her. Team effort. They talked then, low and real, about the toll. The nights waking in sweat to phantom cries. The holidays alone with takeout and TV glow. Riley's voice cracked on her brother's wedding last year. Sidelined as the single one. Family toast skipping her like a stone. Elena pulled her close, arms wrapping tight. Riley's head tucking under her chin. Curls soft against her jaw. You're not alone, Elena murmured, lips brushing temple, the fridge's hum vibrating through them. The embrace shifted, slow burn to blaze. Hands roaming, Riley's palms sliding under Elena's shirt, tracing ribs like braille. Elena gasped, arching into it, mouth finding Riley's neck, sucking a mark hidden by collar. Here. Riley breathed, half laugh, half moan, but her legs parted, pulling Elena between. The kiss reignited, frantic, hips grinding in rhythm to their pants, the room spinning in heat and haze. Footsteps too close. They froze, disentangling with shared shutters, Riley smoothing hair as the door swung. A janitor mopping, oblivious. Laughter bubbled hysterical once he passed. Riley's head on Elena's shoulder, body still humming. Close call, she panted. Elena kissed her forehead, lingering. Worth every one. Shift end brought freedom. The hospital doors parting like curtains to night's embrace. Riley's apartment in Williamsburg was a third-floor walk-up. Stairs creaking under their hurried steps. Laughter echoing off brick. Keys fumbled in the lock, the click loud as a starting gun. Inside, the space breathed her. Books piled haphazard. A fiddle on the wall from Irish roots. Candles flickering, cinnamon-scented. They crashed together, coats shedding like skins, mouths hungry on the couch. Leather cool against bare backs. Riley's hoodie yanked off to reveal freckles marching down her chest. Elena's hands explored, reverent, thumbs circling peaks that hardened under touch, eliciting whimpers that twisted her gut with want. God, Riley, she groaned, voice muffled in auburn waves, inhaling apple shampoo and salt. Riley flipped them, straddling confident, grinding slow, her weight a delicious press. Say my name again, she demanded, nails raking Elena's sides, leaving pink trails. Riley, fuck. Words dissolved in gasps as clothes vanished, skin on skin, the room alive with sighs and the wet slide of bodies. They moved deliberate, then desperate. Fingers delving, mouths mapping, the couch springs protesting soft. Climax built like a code blue. Cresting in shared cries, bodies shuddering locked, the world reduced to aftershocks and tangled limbs. After, wrapped in a quilt that smelled of lavender, they lay whispering. Futures sketched, hazy trips to the Cape, dinners with abuela's recipes. Riley's head on Elena's chest, heartbeat lulling her. This is us, she murmured, fingers tracing Elena's collarbone. But doubt flickered, a shadow in Elena's eyes. The policy's news tightening, whispers of audits in staff meetings. Morning light slanted through blinds, gilding their skin gold. Coffee perked in the kitchenette, the gurgle cheerful, bagels toasting with buttery hiss. They ate cross-legged on the floor, knees bumping, plans for the day, Central Park, hand in hand, rules be damned. But Elena's phone rang, chief of staff, voice clipped. Vasquez, my office. Now. The hook yanked taut, the fall teetering on fracture. The chief's office was a sterile bunker on the 5th floor. Walls lined with plaques gleaming under harsh fluorescence. The air heavy with leather polish and unspoken reprimands. Dr. Harlan Graves, 60-something with a mustache like a broom bristle and eyes sharp as malpractice suits, steepled his fingers over the desk, a file folder fat between them. Elena stood rigid, scrub still rumpled from the night, coffee souring in her gut. Sit, Elena, he said, voice gravel over silk, gesturing to the chair that creaked under her. She perched, pulse thudding like a bass line in a dive bar. The window overlooked the East River, ferries cutting wakes gray under winter clouds, freedom taunting through glass. We've got a complaint. Anonymous. About fraternization. The word landed like a slap, his gaze boring in, mustache twitching. You and Nurse Thompson. Hallway chatter, supply room sightings. HR's involved. Elena's mouth went dry, the river's distant horn mocking her. Sir, that's baseless. He slid photos across, grainy security stills. Stairwell lean, alcove shadow play, her hand on Riley's waist frozen mid-caress. Heat flooded her cheeks, anger coiling tight. This violates policy 7.2, clear as day. You know the stakes, suspension, review board, career hit. His pen tapped rhythmic, a metronome to her unraveling. She left with ears ringing, elevator descent a plummet mirroring her gut. The lobby buzzed oblivious, patience shuffling, a kid's balloon bobbing red. Outside, wind whipped sharp, slicing through her coat as she texted Riley. Meet me. Roof. Urgent. The stair climb burned lungs. Door banging open to gravel underfoot. The city sprawl infinite below. Riley arrived breathless, beanie askew, eyes wide. What's wrong? Elena paced, boots crunching. The heliport's yellow lines faded like old promises. They know. Photos, complaints, HR sniffing. Riley paled, freckles stark, sinking onto a vent, metal cold through her jeans. How? We were careful. A laugh escaped Elena, bitter as black brew. Not careful enough. This could end us, jobs, everything. Riley stood, closing distance, hands framing Elena's face, thumbs stroking jaw. Then we fight. Or we stop. The oar hung heavy, wind whistling through chain link. Elena pulled her close, foreheads touching, breaths mingling ragged. I can't stop. You're in my veins. They kissed fierce, desperate, teeth clashing, hands clutching like lifelines, the rooftop empty witness to their defiance, pigeons cooing soft over the abyss. Back in the trenches, the day fractured. Elena suturing a junkie's track marks, needle pulling thread taut, each loop a bind on her heart. Riley floating meds, vials clinking like chains. Glances darted cautious now, loaded with what-ifs, theirs beeps a mocking underscore. Lunch was solitary, Elena in her car, engine idling in the garage, exhaust fumes thick, radio droning a ballad about lost loves that twisted the knife. Afternoon brought escalation, a board meeting whisper reaching Elena via a sympathetic P. Thompson's been called in too. They're building a case. Rage simmered, spilling and consult snapped short, a intern flinching under her glare. By dusk, as snow flurried first of season, soft and silent, Elena cornered Harlan in the hall, voice low thunder. This is bullshit. We're professionals. Saves on our boards prove it. He sighed, breath minty over coffee. It's not the work, Elena. It's perception. Board's twitchy post-scandal. Remember Dr. Klein? The affair that tanked a residency program. Headlines screaming, lust kills care. Elena deflated, shoulders sagging. The snow outside melting to slush on windows. Give us a chance to explain. Harlan's nod was grudging. Tomorrow. But lawyer up. Riley waited in the parking lot. Car idling, wipers swiping snow in rhythmic arcs. They drove wordless to her place, Brooklyn streets slick, headlights carving tunnels. Inside, the apartment felt smaller, walls closing, fiddle strings humming faint in the draft. They undressed slow, deliberate, shirts peeled like confessions, jeans kicked aside with sighs. On the bed, bodies aligned tender, touches mapping scars. Elena's appendix ridge, Riley's faded burn from a hot tray. Love unfolded gentle this time, mouth soft, fingers tracing slow circles that built to shutters. Riley arched under Elena's palm, gas breaking the quiet, sheets twisting damp. Don't let them take this, she pleaded, voice cracking as release crested, tears salting their kiss. Elena held her after, rocking slow. The radiators hissed the only sound, snow tapping window like insistent fingers. Morning cracked gray, coffee brewing as they dressed for war. Riley in a blouse crisp as resolve, Elena in her best coat, wool heavy. The HR meeting was a tribunal. Suits at a table, folders stacked like indictments, the room airless with AC drone. "We're here to discuss allegations," the director intoned. Glasses perched, voice flat as Manila. Photos projected large, damning in pixels. Elena spoke first, steady. "These women save lives daily. Their connection strengthens, doesn't weaken the team." Riley nodded, hand brushing Elena's under table, hidden anchor. Arguments flew. Policy citations, precedent cases, the board's optics obsession. Harlan mediated, mustache quivering, conceding ground grudgingly. Probation. No contact on shift. Counseling mandatory. The gavel fell soft. A stay of execution. Relief crashed post-meeting, hallway collapse against wall. Riley's laugh hysterical, bubbling up. "We're still here." Elena pulled her into an empty lounge, door locked, kissing deep, victory sweet on tongues, hands roaming quick under clothes, a stolen grope that left them flushed. But the cracks lingered, fissures in their code, the probation a leash chafing. Weeks blurred in cautious dance. Off-shift dates in hidden corners, Dumbo's warehouses, graffiti walls echoing their whispers. A weekend in the Catskills, cabin wood smoke curling, lake lapping black as they made love by firelight, crackle pops sinking to moans. Yet work strained. Elena barking orders sharper, Riley's smiles forced, the air's hum laced with tension. Whispers spread. "They're still at it," heads turning in halls. Climax brewed in a night shift storm. Blizzard dumping white, ambulances skidding in, the air a war zone of fractures and freezes. Elena led a mass casualty drill turned real, barking triage, her voice hoarse over wind howls through cracked doors. Riley manned intake, clipboard shaking, snow melting to puddles at her feet. A collapse, elderly man, heart seizing in the cold. Hit them hard, compressions futile, the code's flatline a dirge. In the chapel after, stained glass filtering red-blue, they knelt side by side, hands clasped hidden. "Too close," Riley sobbed, shoulders shaking, the pews would hard. Elena held her, murmuring Spanish prayers from Abuela's knee, the scent of wax candles thick. "We endure." But doubt seeded, the cracks widening. A text from HR. "Progress review next week." Home alone, Elena paced her apartment, Fern's leaves drooping like defeat. The city's distant wail a siren song. Riley called, voice small over line static. "I love you." The words pierced, raw. "Love you more." But sleep evaded, ceiling stairs tracing fault lines, the code fracturing under weight. Spring teased New York with false promises. Cherry blossoms shedding pink confetti on sidewalks. But the ER's chill lingered, AC humming eternal winter. Probation's leash tightened. Mandatory check-ins with a counselor whose office smelled of chamomile and pity. Sessions dissecting boundary issues like cadavers. Elena sat rigid, fingers drumming chair arm. The therapist's pen scratching judgments. This attraction, professional or personal? Elena's laugh was sharp. Both. And neither's going away. Riley fared worse, her shifts rotated to PEDs. Away from Elena's orbit, the separation a slow bleed. Texts flew furtive. "Miss your voice in rounds. Dreamt of your hands." But replies lagged. Riley's exhaustion bleeding through emojis wilted. Elena threw herself into cases. A pedestrian struck on 5th, femur shattered like porcelain. A birth gone south, C-section under floodlights. The newborn's cry of fragile victory. Work numbed but nights clawed open, bed vast and cold. Sheets whispering Riley's name. A Friday night gala loomed, hospital fundraiser at the Met, black ties and champagne flutes amid marble ghosts. Elena dreaded it, the schmooze a minefield, but Harlan insisted. "Show face. Optics." She arrived in a sheath dress black as midnight, hair loose in waves, heels clicking parquet like accusations. The hall thrummed, violins sawing soft, laughter tinkling over clinks of crystal, air perfumed with orchids and old money. Riley was there, stunning in emerald silk that hugged her curves, freckles dusted like stars, curls pinned elegant. Their eyes met across the crowd. A jolt through the din, Elena's champagne flute trembling. Protocol held them apart. Small talk with donors, Harlan's hand on Elena's elbow steering her to suits with checkbooks fat. But gravity pulled. Riley's laugh floating from a cluster by the Monet Magnetic. Midnight neared, the band swinging into a slow foxtrot, couples swaying under chandeliers dripping light. Elena excused herself, weaving through taffeta, heart hammering. "Dance," she murmured at Riley's ear, breath warm on lobe. Riley turned, eyes liquid, nodding silent. They slipped to the floor, bodies aligning seamless, Elena's hand low on Riley's back, fingers splaying possessive. The music enveloped, violins weeping, their steps a private waltz, cheek to cheek, breath sinking, the world blurring to scent of vanilla and victory. But eyes watched. A board member's glare from the bar, whispers rustling like dry leaves. The song ended abrupt, applause scattering them. In the coat room after, shadows thick with wool and mothballs, they collided. Kiss bruising, hands fisting fabric, Riley's back to the wall with a thud. "I need you," she gasped. Leg hooking Elena's thigh, grind desperate. Elena's mouth trailed neck, sucking pulse, the hook coat's muffling moans. A cough sharp, intruding. Harlan mustache stern, eyes averted. "Ladies. Outside. Now." The boardroom wait was execution row. Harlan pacing, two suits flanking. Folders open to depositions from concerned staff. "This ends tonight," one intoned, voice oil slick. "Resignations on my desk by morning, or termination proceedings." Riley's hand shook in Elena's under table, nails digging crescents. Outside, rain lashed the steps, umbrellas blooming black. They ran to Elena's car, wipers slashing furious, headlights cutting fog. "What now?" Riley choked, tears salting her cheeks, mascara rivers. Elena gripped wheel white-knuckled, engine roaring to life. "We don't break. Not like this." The drive to Astoria blurred. Tires hissing wet, radio static hissing accusations. In the apartment, storm raging outside, they stripped frantic, dress pooling green, Elena's sheath slithering black, bodies crashing to rug with gasps. Love was war this night. Rough, reclaiming, nails raking backs red, mouths biting shoulders, hips slamming in rhythm to thunder cracks. Riley cried out Elena's name like invocation, release shattering them both, sobs mingling with after-rain patter. Dawn broke sodden, coffee cold on the counter, decisions looming. Elena called in sick, voice croak over line. Then paced kitchen, linoleum sticking feet. Riley showered long, steam billowing, emerging wrapped in towel, eyes hollow. "I can't lose this, nursing's my soul." Elena pulled her close, water droplets cold on skin. "Then we pivot. Together." Plans hatched over bagels stale. Job hunts discreet. Elena eyeing private practice in Jersey, Riley community clinics in Queens. But grief gnawed, the hospital a first love scarred. Resignations drafted on Elena's laptop, clicks echoing final, signatures scrawled shaky. "To new beginnings," Riley toasted with orange juice, pulp clinging glass like reluctance. Last shift was torture. Elena closing charts, desk lamp pooling yellow, the ER's night hum a farewell dirge. Riley hugged patience extra, voices soft in bays, her laughter forced brittle. They met in the locker room final, mirrors fogged from showers, lockers slamming like doors closing. "One for the road," Elena whispered, backing Riley against cold metal. Kiss slow, savoring, tongue tracing lips, hands cupping breasts gentle, a sigh shared deep. HR processed exits swift, non-disclosure gagging truths, severance checks cold comfort, boxes packed hasty, stethoscopes coiled like snakes, charts shredded confetti. The lobby goodbye was public, handshakes crisp with Harlan, his good luck hollow. Outside, spring sun mocked, warming faces turned up. "Free," Riley breathed, hand slipping into Elena's, fingers lacing bold. But echoes lingered. A patient's thank you card in Elena's pocket, Riley's spare scrubs folded in her bag. The break reverberated, fractures healing slow. But in each other's grip, they walked into the sprawled Brooklyn Bridge looming iron promise. The city's pulse theirs again. Months unspooled in flux. Elena consulting freelance, sterile rooms in suburbs lacking the ER's roar. Her hands itching for trauma's edge. Riley volunteered at a free clinic. Kids scrapes and fevers a gentler rhythm. But nights she woke gasping, dreaming of codes unmet. They built nest in a Harlem brownstone, walls painted sage, fiddle tunes filling Sundays with jig steps and laughter. Yet cracks echoed. Arguments flaring over dinner. Elena's wanderlust for Boston fellowships. Riley's root deep in New York clay. "You're running from it," Riley accused one night. Plates clattering sink, steam from pasta boiling over. Elena slammed cabinet, wood splintering faint. From what? The ruin they made. Tears hot, they collided not in passion but pain. Bodies wrestling to bed. Makeup sex, raw fingers bruising hips. Cries mingling fury and forgiveness. Counseling continued, separate then joint. The therapist's couch a confessional, chamomile cloying. "Grief for the old life," she diagnosed, nodding sage. Elena squeezed Riley's hand, the hold anchor. Healing came incremental. A garden plot on the fire escape, tomatoes ripening red as resolve. Walks in Prospect Park, leaves crunching autumn return, hands swinging free. One evening, storm brewing humid, Elena knelt by the bed, ring box velvet in palm, sapphire simple, catching light like Riley's eyes. "Marry me." Not despite the break, because of it. Riley's gasp echoed, yes tumbling tear-choked, embrace crashing them to floor. Rugs soft under knees, kisses sealing vows amid thunder rumble. Summer scorched the city, asphalt shimmering mirage, but Elena and Riley's wedding brewed cool in a Hudson Valley vineyard. Vines heavy with grape swelling purple promise. Guests sparse, abuela in a mantilla lace, tears beating like dew. Riley's cousins piping fiddles Irish wild, skirts swirling green. No hospital brass, just kin chosen. Elena's surgical mentor toasting with mezcal shots. Riley's clinic kids scattering petals clumsy and true. Vows exchanged under arbor twined with ivy. The officiant's voice soft over cicada hum. Sun dappling faces gold. "In sickness and health," Elena promised. Ring sliding warm on Riley's finger, sapphire winking. Riley's "I do" cracked emotion, pulling Elena in for a kiss salt sweet. Cheers erupting like fireworks, laughter bubbling free. The reception spilled onto lawns, tables groaning barbecue. Ribs sticky, corn charred buttery. Abuela's tamales steaming beside Calcanon mash. Dancing barefoot in grass dew slick, they swayed to a mixtape of their lives. Sinatra crooned for deli mornings, reggaeton pulse for Astoria nights, a ballad slow for rooftop vows unspoken. Elena spun Riley out, skirt flaring, pulling back to dip low, mouth brushing collarbone, eliciting a giggle that lit the dusk. Fireflies blinked Morse, guest stories weaving. How Elena saved a cousin's life post-crash. Riley's gentle hands mending a neighbor's broken spirit. Honeymoon whispered in whispers. A week in Provincetown, Cape Cod's curl, B&B with sea views crashing white. Mornings tangled in sheets linen crisp. Coffee on balcony with gulls crying overhead. Salt wind tangling curls. Afternoons wandered dunes, hands linked sandy. Swimsuits shedding to waves lapping cool. Nights lovemaking lazy under ceiling fans whirl. Bodies known intimate, touches tracing new lines. Wedding bands cool, freckles mapped like constellations. Back in Harlem, life stitched new. Elena opening a trauma outreach in the Bronx, partnering with Riley's clinic, their expertise twining like vines, joint seminars on queer health, hands brushing podiums, eyes locking over slides. The year echoed in memories, not chains. Saves now preventive, hearts mended before breaks. Abuela visited Sundays, kitchen alive with sizzle. Tortillas flipping hot, stories spilling of border loves defying odds. Challenges crept subtle. Elena's fellowship offer from Mass General, prestige pulling like tide. Nights debating over wine tart, glasses clinking tentative. "It's us or ambition," Riley voiced, hurt lacing green eyes. Elena knelt then as before, hands cupping face. "You're my ambition. We go together or not at all." Compromise bloomed. Hybrid remote, weekends flying, the brownstone anchor eternal. Anniversary first hit quiet. Deli bagels on the fire escape. Tomatoes ripe from their plot, juice bursting sweet. Toasts clinked, mugs steaming. To falls against rules. Laughter echoed, leading to bed where love unfolded playful. Tickles turning to traces, gasps to groans, bodies arching in sunlight slant. After limbs lax, Riley's head on Elena's belly, fingers drumming lazy. Think they miss us at Mercy? Elena chuckled, combing auburn strands. Let 'em. We're the miracle now. Years layered like sediment. A adoption frayed with bureaucracy. Then joy crashing. A baby girl, dark curls and freckles faint. Named Sophia for bridges crossed. Her cries first night pierced hearts. Tiny fists waving defiant. Elena rocking midnight while Riley hummed lullabies Irish soft. Parks became rituals. Picnics under oaks, Sophia toddling grass. Their hands linked over blanket checkered. Trials tempered. Elena's burnout flare. Shifts bleeding home, voice snapping over spilled milk. Riley's clinic funding cut. Stress etching lines faint. Fights flared kitchen hot, dishes clattering, words sharp as scalpels, but makeup mended deeper. Apologies whispered bed warm. Forgiveness in touches tender, strength in shared sighs. 10th year they returned to Mercy, invited for a symposium. Hall packed with faces familiar. Ghosts kind now. Standing podium tandem, Elena on policy reform. Love doesn't fracture care, it fortifies. Riley on resilience, voice steady over slides clicking. Applause thundered, Harlan in front row, mustache nodding approval. A quiet well done post-talk. Rooftop after city lights sprawling diamond. They leaned rail, Sophia asleep carrier slung. Full circle, Riley murmured, head on Elena's shoulder, night air velvet. Elena kissed crown. Inhaling apple shampoo eternal. Against all rules we won. Below, ambulances wailed distant, but up here hearts beat sync. Mended, meaningful, the fall of flight sustained. Sophia grew fierce. 5 now, braids swinging playground, questions tumbling. Mama why doctors help? Elena knelt eye level, hands cupping cheeks round. Because love heals deepest. Riley watched from bench, eyes soft, pride swelling chest. Evenings, stories spun bedtime. Tales of ER witches casting spells with stitches. Nurses weaving magic in veins, their love the grand enchantment. Ages turned. Sophia's first crush. Awkward handhold at school play. Elena coaching gentle. Heart's yours to guard. Riley baking cookies heart-shaped. Laughter kitchen loud. Their own fires banked not date nights stolen. Jazz club smoky, bodies swaying close. Hands rediscovering curves soften time. Sex evolved tender. Slow explorations, whispers mapping changes. Climaxes quiet profound. Afterglows lingering dawn. Legacy wove subtle. Scholarships in their name at nursing schools. Queer mentorships blooming clinics. Abuela past gentle bed surrounded. Last words vivin esuas amores. Live your loves, echoing eternal. Graveside Riley's arms steel, Elena's tears salt on earth. Twilight years found them porch swinging in a Jersey cottage. Vines creeping like old friends. Sophia's visits with grandkids romping yard. Hands arthritic laced, Elena's dark eyes still piercing. Riley's green faded but fierce. Best rule we broke, Riley quips, head on shoulder, sunset bleeding orange. Elena chuckles rumble, kissing knuckles gnarled. Damn right. The end came soft for Riley, heart quiet in sleep. Elena waking to chill, sobs racking dawn. Funeral simple. Fiddle wail, vineyard vines, Sophia's eulogy cracking. She taught us to feel fierce. Elena stood stoic, ring twisting finger, the void echo vast. But meaning lingered. Elena's days volunteer ward, stories to nurses young. Love's the best medicine. Sophia's care wrapped tight. Grandkids clambering lap, curls dark and freckles bold. Nights Elena journals by lamp glow, words flowing. We fell against rules, rose meaningful. Hearts mend always. In the sprawl of years their story etched legend. Whispers in halls, inspiration in charts. Against all rules, love's the code that saves.